The PA Empowerment Network is a game changer, uniting individuals with shared goals to support and uplift each other, providing resources, mentorship, and a sense of community. Empowering people means giving them the tools and confidence to thrive and create positive change in their lives and communities.
Good evening. How are you? My name is Kendall Stevenson, and I am the host of the Empowerment Show. We are on the PA Empowerment Network. This evening, I like to always start off like I do every evening with some sort of being grateful for something. So I'm very grateful for the people that I have around me. Recently, it was Mother's Day, so I'm very grateful that for my mother. She's no longer here, but I'm very grateful for the memories that I have of her. And I'm also very grateful to my wife because she reminds me very much of my mother, who was a powerful woman. This evening, we're going to kick it off with a little politics. I brought my man in. I call him he's a political analyst because he knows a hell of a lot more about politics than I do. So let me bring him in. What's happening, brother Yates? I was
How you
just
doing,
talking
brother?
about you. Yeah, I was just talking about you, my man. How you,
Well, I
man?
appreciate that, brother.
Remind me of my political analyst, man. You the man that I need. If I need to know something about politics, I got to chime in and hit you up. So
Well, I hope I
lately in
have
the
the
news,
answer.
right on. Lately in the news, I was just hearing about this mayor in Newark who was
Hmm.
recently arrested on
Yeah.
Friday. This was Friday. He was arrested by ICE. I guess he was charged with treason or trespassing. Is that what it is? Trespassing.
Yes.
It really bothers me in this country. Where the hell are we headed to, man? I mean, it seems like you don't have freedom of speech anymore. He wants to take away our freedom of speech so he can impose his martial law. What's happening, brother?
Well, yes, we have been sort of on a trajectory toward um, authoritarianism for a number of years. What the executive branch has been doing for a number of years, not just under Trump, they've been taking more and more power for themselves. You know, the constitutional way it's written, where it was written, where it reads, the power is supposed to rest with Congress, the states, and thus the people. But that's just not the way things are happening right now. when you think of Trump, yes, Trump realizes that what he is doing is going to lead to a backlash politically, socially, and you see the results when you see these large protests across the country. And things are only going to get worse and things are going to escalate.
Yeah, it seems like things are already escalating, especially with these tariffs. It kills me, man. This guy comes out, says we're gonna make all these deals, like he's making all these big deals, and then China's like, haha, because China seemed they gotten the better end of the deal anyway. They don't need America. I mean, even for the cars, you see, they started making electric cars. They make them better, and they make them cheaper than what like Tesla makes them. So
Mhm.
Tesla, he's all up in arms now, especially over this tariff war. What do you think of that?
Mhm. Well, in terms of deals, the deals Trump is making currently, like right now, he's in Saudi Arabia. The deals Trump is making is going to benefit Trump and his family, the Trump organization, and of course, multinational corporations. The average working class and poor American will see nothing beneficial from these deals that he is making. In fact, some of these deals are strictly to benefit him. Like his son Eric was just over in Saudi Arabia, and he wants to build a hotel over there that'll have a pool, a huge pool on the 1,000th floor, right? Um, and there's some other deal that was directly benefit the Trump family and the Trump organization. Nothing to do with the American people. So these deals that he's making specifically benefit him and his family. In
Hmm.
terms of the tariffs against China, we need China. China doesn't necessarily need us. China can take their business to a number of other countries. In fact, right now, the tariffs are hurting us more then they're hurting the Chinese. They're saying that ships are arriving that are basically empty. So what that'll mean in the long run is you're going to find empty shelves in the stores. Once the current stock dwindles, there won't be anything to replace it. They talk about, toys. Toys isn't, while toys may be a segment of our economy, the biggest issue is probably things like durable goods, electronics. And you got to understand, China has control over some of our food sources. One of the largest pork producers in this country is owned by China. So China can manipulate the prices of pork, right? So China doesn't need us as much as we need them.
Yeah, I understand that they really don't need us, and they're making a joke out of us. Honestly, I think they were prepared for this years and years ago. That they were waiting for this to happen so they could slide into other avenues, and just to let America know that we don't need you. Yeah, another. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. I had
another thing. The tariffs were initially 145%. Trump already brought them down to 80%, 65% reduction already. And the tariffs are going to continue to decrease simply because, again, we need these goods from China. I was at work the other day and I'm in the cafeteria and I noticed that the knives and forks, the plastic knives and forks, are manufactured in China. Those things that we used to produce in this country, we no longer produce them. So we've lost a large segment of our manufacturing base and sent it overseas. And now for these companies to say, oh, we're going to restart these factories, it's going to take years. Funding, finding a location, building a location, hiring people takes a lot of time. Americans don't have that time to wait. So right now, you're going to see these tariffs continue to go down.
Let me see if I could take this call right quick. Good evening, young lady. How are you? No, do you have a question for the guest on the show? This is Reasons for Reason with Ronald Yates. We're talking politics. Do you have a question for him? Okay. Well, right. We were talking about the tariffs, and this young lady wanted to know about, again, what was going on with the tariffs. So she wanted you to go ahead and explain it because it wasn't really understood to her. So let's rewind it just to make sure that the guests understand what we're talking about.
Okay, so several weeks ago, what President Trump called Liberation Day, he instituted tariffs pretty much across the board. So what these tariffs, what they entail, what they are, a tariff is another word of saying a tax, right? And that's simply what it is. So when products come from, say, China, he initially imposed 145% tariff on product coming into this country. So the manufacturer or the person in this country who receives the item from China would have to pay this tariff. So if you order products from China, you're going to have to pay the tariff. And then that money that they paid will be passed along to the consumer. That means prices will increase sharply. At 145%, right, you're paying more than 150% of what you paid just weeks before. So these tariffs right now are basically choking the U.S. economy, right? If you look at what's happened on Wall Street, in the month of April was the worst month for Wall Street since the Great Depression. Now, there have been some positive signs lately now that Trump has been renegotiating these tariffs downward. So we'll have to see, but they will continue to go down. They have to.
Yeah, also, no, she said thank you very much, by the way. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you for your questions.
Right. Also, I had another question for you. I wanted to talk about South Africa. Now, if you notice that Trump, I think he's allowing 20 South Africans to come into the country as migrants, and
South African farmers, yes.
Yeah. So what happened to the other people? I mean, it's only the white South Africans. Is this really a white thing? Is that what this is all about? Because of Elon Musk, him being from South Africa, well, actually originally from Canada, and his folks moved to South Africa, being uh the racists that they were, and they were more racist in South Africa than they were in Canada, so they slid right in and fit real well. So I'm just wondering if he's allowing these people to do these things, is this a white thing?
Well, yeah. So in South Africa, after apartheid ended, there have been programs in place by the South African government. And those programs are reallocating farmland back to the original peoples of South Africa. In
Mhm.
other words, the Black population. So some of the white farmers are saying, well, our land is being taken unjustly. Some of the white farmers have said openly that no, this is not what's happening. The government is not arbitrarily taking these lands from the white farmers. It is only fair that the land that was taken by us, the Afrikaners, be returned to the indigenous people.
Mhm.
And it is doing so in a way that is, I guess, fair. Right? These farmers are being compensated for this land. Well, they're crying foul. And as you mentioned, Elon Musk and Donald Trump decided, well, you know what? This is racism on behalf of the South African government. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow these farmers to come here. But
Is
when
that
they
that
come here,
reverse racism nonsense again?
well,
Reverse
that's what
racism?
they're saying. That's what they're saying. But where, what land are these farmers? And this is what they are. They're farmers. What land is going to be given from them, and who's it going to be taken from? And where will they get the funding for things like equipment, seed, to pay laborers? And there ain't too many laborers around. And one other thing about South Africa, in I want to say 2023, South Africa went to the International Court of Justice and charged Israel with violations of international law due to the handling of the situation in Gaza, the genocidal actions of Israel. Well, International Court of Justice, in their findings, they said that it is plausible that Israel is committing acts of genocide. So that may be another reason why the Trump administration is going against South Africa.
I don't know if he's going against South Africa. I think well, at least the government now is South Africa, but he's not going against the mighty, the whitey righteous. He's not going against them. And I'm gonna tell you, when them guys get here, they're gonna. I think they're gonna. They're not gonna. They're not gonna be the way that they think it's gonna be.
Well, they're
You know,
here. They're here.
over in their country, they had maids, and you could pay a person $15 to work the whole day, and I don't know if it's gonna work like that for them over in this country. I don't think they're going to be the wealthy like they were in South Africa.
Well,
Not at
they
all.
won't be.
Don't think they're going to be
They
that way
won't
at
be.
all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, give us 30 seconds, and you got to pay the bills. So we'll be right back. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chantel Davis from Willie Mae's Place and Legacy Vines Winery, located in Gilbert, Pennsylvania. We're the only restaurant and winery experience where we pair delicious homemade scratch kitchen Southern comfort food with delicious homemade wine. All of our tastings will include some type of food and wine portion pairing, so definitely check us out. You can visit us at williemaysplace.com, legacyvineswinery.com, and also follow us on our socials, Willie Mae's Place Restaurant. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I've been there, man. I'm telling you, the food there is off the hook. I had some fish. She can make this southern style fish and grits. Oh my God, it's delicious. Throw a little cheese in there, just the way I like it.
I've
Yeah.
had her food before at a event, and the food's very good.
Oh yeah, she's good. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you were at the IQ.
Right, she catered that,
Right,
yeah.
right, she
It was
catered
good.
that IQ. Oh, man, the
Mhm,
food was absolutely delicious. I can't
mhm,
wait to slide through there again. So, let's return back to politics just to let people know you are tuned into the PA Empowerment Network. I'm here with my analyst. His name is Ronald Yates. Now, he can be reached on Thursdays if you need to. He's on genesisradio.com, and the telephone number there is 888-304-4401. So on Thursdays, tune into the brother. Give him a like, give him a shout, and listen to what he has to say, because he has some really important things that need to be talked about. Now, I understand a lot of African Americans now are kind of pissed off about a lot of things that are going on, and right now the things that are really going on are repetitive. We've gone down this road before
mhm.
with the Trump like people, with all of the racisms that are going on, with even with this nonsense going on around the world, like with Sudan. Has anything resolved in that as of yet?
No, the Sudan conflict is one that has been ongoing for a number of years. So much so that in years past, the country split into northern and southern Sudan. And the issue was initially oil discovered in Sudan. And of course, multinational corporations, any discovery that has any value, they want their hands on it. So, of course, they pitted one uh, Sudani brother against the other. There was a group called the Janjaweed that was terrorizing some of these darker members of the Sudan family. And that's still going on to some degree.
You said
You know, but
darker. Aren't they all dark?
well, you know what? There is somewhat of a distinction nowadays. Years ago, when you mentioned the term Moor or Arab, you refer to a black person. Now, when you think Arab, you think of the light-skinned people in Africa. And those are some of the people um, who were members of the Janjaweed or supported the Janjaweed's effort at exterminating some of the darker Sudanese.
You, oh man, you're done. I was getting really interested in it. I wanted to see what
Well,
else happened to the people there. What's going on
well,
with them? I mean, it's from what I
well,
can understand, just from what you're telling me. I guess it's a civil war that they're having right now.
and it's been going on. It flares up every now and then, right? And for Black people in this country, it's important to understand that the Egyptian civilization, I'm talking about the civilization of, 5, 6, 7,000 years ago, Sudan was the holy land for um, the Egyptian royal family, right?
Hmm.
For the country of Egypt, or Kemet as it is actually known, there was Upper and Lower Egypt. Upper Egypt was Sudan. That is where many of the kings came from. That was considered the Holy Land. There are more pyramids or temples, or as they were called murs, in Sudan than there is in Lower Egypt, or places like Saqqara and other areas where there are temples. There are more in Sudan. And it was from Sudan that many of the clearly Black kings and queens went north to um, Egypt or to Kemet and recaptured the throne during those periods when outsiders would come conquer the throne of Egypt and sit on it. These were normally Europeans like Alexander, but eventually the Black Nubian kings, which Sudan and Nubia interchangeable, would go up and drive them back off the throne of Egypt. So, it was a spiritual place, very powerful place for the ancient Egyptians or people of Kemet.
What's that brother's name? Arab.
Which
Um,
one is that?
he's in. Faso, Burkina Faso.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that brother now, he's talking about reuniting Africa, yeah, or uniting Africa to make it one country. He's telling people we don't need the colonists to come in. We don't need that. I got another call coming in. Okay.
Mhm.
Good evening and welcome to the PA Empowerment Show. How are you, young man? I'm doing well. Do you have a question for us right now? We're talking politics, and we were in the middle of talking about Burkina Faso with the president, where he is trying to unite all the African countries. Do you have a question for him? Hold on, let me put you on speaker. There you go. All right.
Oh, okay. The question that I have is, what are we doing right now as Americans with these countries and stuff? I see that he's bringing a lot of the South Africans over and stuff, so I'm not sure what is the goal, what is, where is it going with that? Because we're deporting a lot of the Hispanic population demographic who are really struggling and who really are trying to escape oppression. And yet we have these people that have lost this land and have just been displaced, but they still were the minority that was the majority taking over South Africa for many decades. And I don't understand the plan of that. So I'm just curious to see where we're going with this.
Well, Ronald did talk about that a minute ago. Ronald, you wanna reiterate about what's going on in South Africa?
Well, yeah. What's happening in South Africa, what has been happening in South Africa, the dispute is over the land. Of course, we know that in the 19th century, the Boers or people from the Netherlands came down into South Africa and they conquered huge swaths of land in South Africa. And once they got in power, they set up the apartheid system. And we know the apartheid system ended in the early 90s, at least on paper, with the election of Nelson Mandela. Since that time, the government in South Africa has been trying to, for lack of a better term, equalize things in South Africa. So what they want to do is give some of this farmland that was forcibly taken from the Africans back to the indigenous people. And what's happening is some of the South African farmers are, crying foul, saying, look, this is about racism. We are the victims. This is our land that is being unjustly taken from us. And that's clearly not the case. Even some of the white South African farmers have said openly, no, that is not the case. And you have to understand that America and the other colonial powers do not want to relinquish power. And that's what this is about. That is why Captain Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso wants to unite Africa. And if you think about it in terms of land grab, look what's happening in Palestine. You have Netanyahu and President Trump talking about taking the land for themselves. But what do you do with the people who lived there for centuries? So, this is just land grabs that the colonial powers have done and are trying to continue to do. The problem is today you have emerging powers like China, economic and military power. You have Russia, you have Iran, you have a group of others who are saying enough. So that's why you see Trump over there in Saudi Arabia. He's being feted right now by the Saudi Arabian government. But at the same time, he's dropping the tariffs on China because he realizes there's no way for him to win there. He's got to go sit down with the Chinese and negotiate a deal. And the deal's not going to be in the favor of the U.S. It will be in favor of China. I can guarantee you that. So I hope that answers your question.
How did that do? Did that answer your question, young man?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for
quite
tuning
welcome.
into the Empowerment Network. Please hit the subscribe button or the like and give us a call whenever you feel to. Thank you very much.
Most definitely. Thank you. I enjoy your program.
Thank you. All right. Well, I guess we touch on a little bit of this and touch on a little bit of that and a little bit of this. They give us a call and they want to ask us questions. The young lady, her name was Coletta. Actually,
Ah,
she has a show that'll be coming up here after we're done. She's got a show that comes on at 6:30, known as Diamonds in the Rough.
oh, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, it's talking to God. So I guess that could tell you which way she goes with her shows. She's pretty good with it, and I think you'll enjoy it if you tune in. Or anybody else, if they tune in, I think that they will enjoy it. We got about 5 minutes left. Is there anything you want to hit me up with, brother, so we can get into it next week?
Well, yeah. I want to do a segment on Marshall where I want to talk about where we are prophetically in this country in terms of prophecy, right? Now, I'm not a churchgoer, I'm not a Bible thumper, but I am aware of certain scriptures in the Bible, certain prophecies, and it talked about how the weather would change as an indication of the last days. And if you see what we've been having here in Pennsylvania, a month's rain in about a week. And then just the other day, I think it was last Sunday, there was an earthquake in Tennessee. When have we had earthquakes in Tennessee? And this quake centered in Tennessee was felt as far away as North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So, the Bible speaks of earthquakes in diverse places where fault lines aren't really well known about, right? And these things are happening. And these are indications of the time we're in and how serious the time is. I think people really need to pay attention to this because this is serious. When you think about Trump, this goes beyond politics. This goes beyond left or right, Democrat or Republican. This war is an economic war. It's a political war, but most of all, it's a spiritual war. Trump wants people to bow down before him. And a lot of people in this country have done so willingly. What will happen when the people decide we're not going to bow down? Will he institute martial law? And I really believe martial law is coming.
Yeah, I think it is so too. Like I tell you, the way that they arrested a mayor. Come on, man, this man is a mayor. They didn't have a problem putting handcuffs on him and dragging him down to court as if they were a criminal.
And they said right now the Trump administration says they are considering arresting members of Congress.
Oh,
so right now this is again not about the law because law does not matter in this country, not with Trump in power.
no.
This is, as I said, a spiritual war. And unless you are aware of that and prepared for it, there's going to be some serious consequences.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be some serious consequences coming down the pipe. Okay, thank you again for tuning in to the PA Empowerment Network. Again, my guest is Mr. Ronald Yates. He goes by Ron Yates. As again, I tell you, he's a political analyst, and you can see why. He's very well versed as to what's going on around the world and here in America. So tune in again next week. We'll be here Tuesday. It should be around about the same time, between 5:30. We'll try to make it around 5, but maybe we'll keep it at 5:30. This way we'll have some consistency. So again, my name is Kendall Stevenson. This is the PA Empowerment Show. Up next, we have Diamonds in the Rough with Coletta Leff. All right. So to you people, peace. And as my girl would always say, what she always say, Ron, be yourself because everybody else is taken. Right on. All right.
All right. Take care.